Welcome in everybody to Kota's Cove. We got a special series review today talking about Daredevil Born Again. Every time I read the title of this, I'm so locked into Marvel Rivals. I keep hearing Adam Warlock's ultimate being screamed, Born Again! So we are joined today by a special guest, a special friend of mine. This is RadioSlay. Radio, thank you for coming on to talk some Marvel with me.
Yeah, appreciate you inviting me, man.
Yeah, so before we get started, just kind of go ahead and let people know where they can, find you at. What are you up to in the world? I know you started streaming a little bit again, and for those who don't know, Radio Slay has one of the coolest communities out there on Twitch that's streaming. So if you like to go hang out and have fun somewhere, please feel free to stop by Radio Slay's community and get involved.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm on Twitch. Don't stream as frequently as I used to, but maybe once a week. But it's at RadioSlay. If you want me on Twitch, and then probably the most active social media platform I'm on is X, which is also at RadioSlay.
Going ahead, we'll just kind of give what were your overall thoughts on Daredevil? I know because when we talk personally, I've kind of been Marvel fatigued, I guess you could say, ever since like Avengers Endgame came out. Haven't had as much excitement for future installments and everything that's going on. But I will say Daredevil is always one of the shows that I loved the most. The Netflix series was one of my favorite shows, and I always felt like Daredevil was one of Marvel's peak projects that they did.
It's one of my favorites as well. I mean, I remember, several years ago when it came out, I didn't know what to expect. And, once you watch that first episode, you're kind of hooked. And then, you have this however long hiatus between season 3 of Netflix and then this Born Again season that comes out. So super hyped up. Just overall, I thought it was a pretty good series. Certainly had its ups, certainly had its downs, which I'm sure we'll get into. But overall, I was happy and satisfied with it for sure, and I'm ready for season 2.
Yeah, me too. We'll definitely get into the season finale as we go on a little bit because there was a lot that happened in the season finale. It was a very glorious season finale. So just overall, if you want to go ahead, just list some pros and cons. We can go one for one, or if you want to give me a short list real quick. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Just kind of talk about what you liked and what you didn't like about this season so far.
So what I liked is obviously like anything else that Marvel does, the action sequences. I enjoyed that. I did enjoy the Muse character. I did enjoy seeing um, both Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock, and Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk. They're starting their new lives, right? And they're having success. It seems like they're enjoying their new life, but really deep down you can see that they're missing who they originally were. And then as the season progresses, you start to see them come out and then go back and revert to who we know and who the characters that we fell in love with, the Kingpin and Daredevil. So I did enjoy seeing that kind of like transition back. As far as a couple negatives, I think some of the episodes were a little slow. There's some content in there that, as of now, doesn't really make any sense to the story. It didn't really impact the overall storyline, so it kind of felt like that filler or the filler episode. And then to me, and this might be a Disney slash Netflix thing. When I watched the Netflix series, it seemed like it had like a darker tone, maybe darker environments, and then the Disney one seemed a lot more lighter. And I don't know if that's because it was Disney. I don't know if that's because they were trying to show his like newer life. Everything's all happy and roses and everything. But the tone felt off to me a little bit as far as the environments go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It does feel like Disney kind of gets their hand in there and Disneyfy it a little bit. But I will say, that was one of my main concerns was, are they going to tone like the darkness and, just the rawness that the original Netflix series brought? Because, I mean, Wilson Fisk in season 1, I believe, he decapitates a dude's head in a door. And I was like, there's no way Disney's going to do something like that. Well, I can tell you, folks, when we get to our season finale review, they top that scene and then some. My jaw dropped. But I did like the Muse character. That's actually one of my complaints about this season. Muse felt very underutilized. He's supposed to be this big bad evil. He's a serial killer going around using people's blood to paint murals on the walls and the streets of New York. And it's like, we got him. We seen him like briefly for one episode show his face. We seen him at the end of one episode kidnap somebody. Daredevil fights him. And then we get one more fight scene. And it was just like, I felt like he was underutilized, and I don't know if he's completely, if they like actually killed him off, because like there's supposed to be some supernatural elements to Muse in the comic books, and you didn't really get that. I was a little underwhelmed with that. I also don't like the way that he died, which was Matt's girlfriend. You know, she plays the psychologist who is helping the Fisk, and I'll be honest, she's another complaint for me in the season. Matt Murdock is always going to have a girlfriend or a love interest. It's just how his character is. And like at first, I liked her and I thought she was really cool. When she starts asking him, "What do you think about vigilantes?" I thought that was a cool concept. Like, how is Matt going to be able to, try to hide his true identity from her without exposing himself for what his beliefs are? So he's got to kind of play like that dual personality around her. And then, like, her character shift after she kills Muse, she became very annoying to me. She tried telling Matt that no, Daredevil didn't save me. I saved myself. Like, no, lady, like, give it another 2 more seconds. You were about to be carved up and used for a painting. So I didn't like that little switch that she did. I'm interested to see if they continue on with the love interest with her and Matt going forward, especially now that she's working with the Fist. And now Karen's into it. So I don't know what's really going to happen there. I kind of really don't hope. I was talking to my buddy. I hope they don't go like a love triangle route between the two girls, or even between Matt and Punisher, because they hinted at the Punisher and Karen still having their little romantic feelings for each other. I don't want the CW love triangles. Leave that for the CW hero shows that are not that good. But other than that, my big pros were the action was good, although CGI was very dodgy in some spots, like at the beginning of the season. Beginning fight scene, the very first episode with Bullseye was awesome. That right there kind of gave relief. Okay, I am gonna like where this is gonna go, because just that fight down the hallway, they always have a cool fight down a hallway scene in Daredevil. The listening into Foggy's heart while he's fighting Bullseye, and I don't know if you noticed this little like editing trick they do every time Daredevil's like focusing in with this hearing. They change the aspect ratio of the screens, and I thought that was such a cool little thing to immerse us with the character. It's like, oh, all right, he's using some of his abilities now. I actually really liked, I think my favorite scenes in this season are just the one-off talks, like when Matt goes to Punisher asking for help. That whole back and forth between him and Punisher talking about, Red, why don't you ever put these guys down for good? They're always going to have that back and forth because they differ so different. The back and forth between Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock in the diner scene, that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole season. I thought that was very cool just to see these two. They've tried killing each other for as long as the show's gone on, but they were able to come to common ground at first and then talk things out. But in the end, it's kind of like the whole thing with Batman. What's the real mask? Is Matt Murdock the real mask? No, it's Daredevil, Wilson Fisk being Kingpin. That's the real them. This other stuff is the mask. So I thought that was cool. I guess going forward, we can talk about the season finale, because I mean, that season finale was great. It was probably one of the best season finales I think we've gotten in a Marvel TV show. I think the only other one that I really liked and put up there would probably be WandaVision.
Real quick, I just go right back to one of the things that you were saying, and just another thought real quick is the Muse character. I hope that I don't know if they can or not. I wish that they added more episodes. I wish it was like a 12 or 13 episode series as opposed to 9. I actually like what Andor's doing, and if you're not, for those not familiar, they're doing a 12 episode season, 3 episode drops per week. So I thought that would have fit Daredevil a little bit better. Get to tell the story a little bit more, because some of the things did feel a little bit rushed. Like they kind of, here's Muse, and now he's dead. Okay, let's move on to the Kingpin. So there was that, and I think just the flow of it was just, let's hit the audience with the bang, right? Let's boom, action. Here's Bullseye. Here's a big fight. Here's everything. We're hooked in, and now they got our attention. And the quality seemed like it went downhill for the next 2 or 3 episodes. And then right when we're about to give up on it, boom, they got us again for the rest of it. So just wanted to throw that in there real quick. Going to the season finale, yeah, I think it was everything that we would want in a season finale, and I agree. It is one of the best as far as the Marvel TV series go, and it, like all, even though it's frustrating, like all good episodes, it leaves us on a cliffhanger. It leaves us wanting more, leaves us asking questions and what's next. Oh, I can't wait till next. Oh, well, now we got to wait till next year to find out what's going to happen next. What's going on with Punisher? What's going to happen with Daredevil? He mentioned recruiting an army, but he's talking to several police officers. Is that his army? Is he going to potentially pull in some of the Defenders or somebody else that we might not have seen? Are we getting another reincarnation of White Tiger, which is another piece of the story we got a little bit of, and understandably, because the actor did pass away, unfortunately, so we're not going to see him per se, but is it his niece that takes the mantle or somebody else? So there's that unanswered question. What direction are the Fisk going to go? Are they going to develop the Red Hook area more? Are they going to be successful in that? So a lot of questions, which is, again, frustrating as a fan, but it's also awesome because, it gets you all excited and really ready to go. And hopefully next March will come sooner rather than later so we can kind of pick up where we left off with the story.
Yeah, totally agree. I believe I had that conversation with you when we were going to Pat McAfee's Big Night Out. Like, I hate the 8-9 episode seasons. They leave everything on a cliffhanger because they know they can get more money out of having multiple seasons. They've been doing that. Kenobi was the big show that really made me want to put my foot through a TV when they did that, just because so many storylines get rushed, or they bring up something and something just gets tossed to the wayside. You're like, so where did this plot point go? And it's like, you can tell when the directors are doing that, because like characters like Muse, his whole thing got rushed and he wasn't even really a big bad. But the season finale was great. I did see a very cool theory on TikTok. Have you watched Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man at all?
I haven't yet.
Okay, so there is an episode, I don't want to give you too many spoilers, where Spider-Man does end up fighting Daredevil on top of Oscorp building. And the suit that Daredevil's wearing in that fight scene is the one that we keep seeing circulating around social media, the black suit with the red. So people are wondering if that's hinting at Spider-Man's going to team up with Daredevil to help free New York, because it would make sense for him to recruit his army. I do think the White Tiger is going to be the niece. I think that's how it happens in the comics. I think what's going to happen is the army that Matt was talking about was the Hand. So I'm expecting to see the Hand come back, and I'm expecting to see Elektra hopefully make a return, because I thought she was very good when she came into the show. Her and the chemistry between the guy that plays Matt Murdock, I thought they did fantastic. I've always loved the Elektra and Daredevil characters. They've done really well. This Punisher show, the guy playing Frank Castle said it's not going to be, Disneyfied like people are worried about. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be raw. Maybe even more brutal than we got here. And I mean, when we're talking about brutal, I mean, Wilson Fisk to the police commissioner literally crushes his skull and rips his jawbone apart. And they don't pan away like they do in every other TV show, movie. You see everything. My face was the same as the police officer around watching. They're like, yeah, what is this guy on? Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio, I'm just going to give my hand to you because he's played this character beautifully. I cannot see another character actually playing Wilson Fisk now, because he's done such a good job. Albeit the voice sometimes is kind of funny listening to him talk. We all make fun of it. We all laugh at the guy on social media that's doing it, reading a little bedtime nursery to a child in a crib in the voice of, the Kingpin. But he's done very good. And I feel like the casting for the show was always some of the best casting they've done for any Marvel project. I just feel like everybody fits perfectly into what they play into. So
real quick, one of the other things, one of the biggest rumors that we'll have to wait and see is Foggy really dead? I mean, that's another question that's lingering out there. Obviously, when you watch a show, there's no indication that he's alive. There's been hints dropped and things in that nature that he is alive. Why is he alive? That's some of the things that I'm curious about, if that is actually going to be true and how that factors into the story. And I'd really like to know why they would fake his death. I don't know if it's to motivate Matt or whatever, but I'm curious to see if that storyline goes anywhere.
Yeah, same here. I know people were saying it has something to do with the first episode, there's some type of number sequence in the first episode somewhere, and if you look that up, that is actually the comic number where Foggy does fake his death. So there's a lot of people looking at that. I think in the same way, the only way I see that they would fake his death, if it's somehow going to be able to really get concrete evidence and nail the Fist, like Vanessa, that's going to be the thing that helps him get her behind bars for life. Because I don't know. I mean, Daredevil heard his heartbeat stopped. I don't think Foggy's trained enough in anything besides law to really stop his heart and make Daredevil think he's dead. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I do love that scene though, where Matt throws Bullseye off the top of the roof and he lands, and Karen was afraid that it was Matt, and she goes, "Oh geez." That was really cool. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I'll be honest, this actually got me in the mood to go see this new movie coming out. What is it called, with the Winter Soldier and all them? They're
Thunderbolts.
Yes, I'm kind of interested to go see that now. So
got my tickets.
Did you? That was good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go see it now. So Daredevil has helped bring a little bit of that joy in wanting to get back into watching Marvel. I'll be honest, this whole thing with Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, I'm not a big fan of it, and I've complained about this videos ago where I said Marvel's just going to use a timeline, use a different universe, and they're going to bring back all these people for nostalgia purposes, because for whatever reason, the new people they're bringing on aren't really landing with the, the fans, except for like characters like Shang-Chi. That movie was great, and we haven't heard anything for years. Like, what's going on with that universe? So
Yeah, and that's possibly they may have saw what happened with Deadpool and Wolverine. You saw some nostalgia with Human Torch and some of the Sabretooth and Blade. Those people, the Jennifer Garner version of Elektra. I wonder if they're gonna try to ride that horse. Even with the Spider-Man. With the different variants of Spider-Man. With Garfield and Maguire. Like everybody freaked out about that because it takes you back to when you watch those original movies, and now you see with Doomsday, we're gonna see some of the original X-Men and such be pulled into that. So I don't know if they're thinking that way, or I mean, obviously we don't know what the storyline is yet, but well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
yeah, that's true. All right, so one final thing. I do a rating scale. It's very simple. It's 1 through 10. What would you give Daredevil Born Again season 1 final grade?
Does it have to be a whole number?
You can go halves. I've done
right.
halves. If you want to get crazy and go quarters, 3/4, that's fine.
I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, that's very respectable. I'm going to split mine up into 2. I'm going to go the season as a whole. I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm just going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to go ahead and say a 7. Just the slowdown in some of the episodes where it's just Matt doing lawyer stuff. I mean, it was cool, but like we're here for the guy in the suit. Let me see him get his billy clubs out and beat the crap out of somebody. And then the Muse character, I just felt like underutilized, and we just kind of got thrown for a loop with him supposedly being the big bad. So I'll do 7 for the whole season, and then for the finale, I'm actually going to give the finale, I think, I'm thinking I'm going to go perfect score. I think I'm going to go 10 out of 10 for the finale. It hit everything I wanted to see. The back and forth with Daredevil in Matt's apartment, I laughed so hard. Maybe it's because I was tired when I watched it, but like him yelling at him for the city being out of power, not having any pots of coffee that worked, I don't know why, it just cracked me up. Because like that is such a Frank Castle thing to be pissed off about.
Yeah, that was a good scene as a whole. Yeah, I'd agree that if I had to give the final episode a score, it would definitely be a 10 or pretty darn near a 10 out of 10. So it hit everything that you'd want to see in a finale, including the quote unquote cliffhangers or lingering questions that finales are supposed to have.
All right, well, I just want to say thank you again to RadioSlay for coming on the show. This man, if you don't know, is prepared to talk Marvel. I mean, look at his shirt. He's got the gauntlet in the background. Anytime we do some season reviews, if you guys want radio on, I will gladly ask him. If you ever want to come on and talk anything, movies, TV shows, video games, brother, you're always free to come into the Cove. So appreciate it. Thank you for everything you did.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.